Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Prairie Podcast. My name is Andrew Weeb. It's a real pleasure having you with us today, whether you're a student, staff, faculty, current student, prospective student, no matter who you are, as always, you are welcome to be here with us. Because today we have a very special guest with us, one of our very own students, Kylen Koop. So why don't you introduce yourself, tell us a bit about who you are, how you ended up here.
Yeah, so my name is Kylen, as Andrew was saying, and I'm from Abbotsford, British Columbia, so pretty far away, 10-hour drive. It's quite the travel. I previously did YWAM, if you're familiar, so God really sparked my heart then, and I feel like He opened the door to come here, and I didn't really know why because it's so far away, but it's been quite the experience.
So, and where, if you don't mind me asking, where did you do your YWAM at? Where was that located?
So I did a 6-month program called the DTS.
Yep.
And my first 3 months were in Kona, Hawaii, and then my last 3 months were in India.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, we're excited and we're happy to have you here on campus. I'm curious, in your time here, this is your first year here, correct? What program were you in again, sorry?
Encounter, the 1-year Bible certificate.
Encounter, the 1-year Bible certificate. So you're studying the Bible, you're working through that, you've got a couple months behind you at Prairie. I'm curious, are there any things that you've learned so far from your time here at Prairie? Something
I've definitely learned a lot. I'd say both through my classes and also through just living in a different community with so many different kinds of people and people that have been through different journeys in their life as well. It's really good experience to live as a Christian with different people and to hear people's testimonies. So I'd say with my classes, I love historical books with Dr. Roberts. Yeah. We go through the Old Testament, which honestly, I didn't know if I'd ever feel like passionate for or a desire to understand. But what I'm learning now is that the Israelites, the Old Testament, it's our story too as Christians. And so their brokenness and their sin and their fall is ours too. And God's compassion and God's character and His faithfulness is the same with us as well. And it just puts it into such a perspective for our lives holistically. And it's something I'm really grateful for. So definitely Dr. Roberts' classes. She's a great teacher. And world religions as well. I had last semester, and we had field trips. So we went to Sikh temples and Hindu temples, mosques, Buddhist temples. And it was a really fun experience.
I'm curious, what was that experience like, kind of traveling and experiencing some of those other places of worship for these other religions, kind of?
Yeah,
what was that like?
It was really cool. Since I was in India, I actually was more familiar because the Hindu and the Sikh temples. But again, great life experience to see into different cultures and religions and to understand how they live, but also the history behind it, where their religion stems from, how Christianity fits into it as well. We got to try new food, wear headscarves, and you're really immersed to the full extent you could be, kind of in Three Hills, Alberta. So it's good though. It was really fun. Yeah.
Well, it sounds like you've had a good experience so far with some of the classes and the lessons you're learning. I think that's a valuable lesson, learning the story of the Israelites and how it actually relates to us still today. I'm curious. The Kylen that started a couple months ago, maybe you don't have an answer for this, but the Kylen that started a few months ago and the Kylen that is right now, would you say there's anything different, any ways that you've maybe grown in your character, your understanding, the way you live? I don't know. Would you see a difference, and how would that look? Yeah,
for sure. I wouldn't say necessarily in the way I thought. I don't think it ever goes that way. I think we understand more in hindsight. So, to suggest to anyone wanting to come to Prairie, I would say, have excitement and joy, but also be ready just to be kind of thrown a bit and have your faith waver and fight with things and question things, which is not bad at all. It's what builds our character. And, we see throughout Scripture that our trials build character. And so I'm really grateful for that. I have really good friends, really great roommate. So I'd say definitely my character has been challenged and also cheered on and encouraged. I feel like God teaches us throughout all the mundane times and all the more simple times as well, and He teaches us how to hear His voice. So I'd say that's
Oh, certainly. And I'm curious, and you mentioned historical books being one of your favorite classes. I'm curious, do you have a different class that might be your favorite, or an experience or a moment or something from your time here you'd be willing to share with us?
Yeah, I'd say, well, the sports teams are really fun too. Like,
What teams are you on?
I'm on the volleyball team
Okay,
right now.
okay.
Yeah, so we have like tournaments. We went to Saskatoon. It was really fun. We do like, it's like a road trip with your friends, really. You're just like all like shoved in a van,
Yep.
and then you're like going, and
Yep.
then you play the games, and it's just really fun and competitive. And so that's been a highlight for me for sure, to stay active and just have the opportunity. Also, like, the prices are really good, actually,
Okay.
considering being a student and like what they provide for us. So that was a plus as well. Being a broke college student is very, very good.
Yeah.
And so it's a volleyball. I'd also say the Torah class, classic. I think everyone has good things to say about Torah. It fits in really well with historical books. And then next term, I'll be reading Paul's letters as well. So it all fits together, and I'm really grateful for that, like the structure that we have here.
Certainly, the structure, it's designed in that way to be kind of this natural crisscross of, okay, you're going to take some of the Old Testament, take some of the New Testament, and the tools you gain from each class will be translated to the next level up, I think. Well, thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Okay, you mentioned as well something that you wanted to maybe share with someone who's interested or considering becoming a student. I don't know if you could elaborate on that, or if you have further thoughts about what you would say to someone interested in coming to Prairie, even for just a one-year Bible course like yourself.
Yeah, so I would say, like, if you feel that God is opening the door, just take a leap of faith. You don't know what it's going to be like, and maybe you'll start a second year or third year or 4-year program. For me, I'm just sticking with the 1 year. I feel like God maybe wants me to work and travel and do missions, so that's what I feel called to. But I'm grateful for my time here nonetheless. So I'd say, like, just have an open heart, have an open mind, like, attune your ears to the Lord, and if He opens the door, I'd say go for it. There's lots of great programs. Aviation is like such an incredible thing that they have here. I'm not a pilot, but I've heard it's awesome. The pastoral, youth ministry, I think there's great things that you guys could provide here. So
Certainly. Well, thank you. And now coming back to you, Kylen, just yourself. You've mentioned a lot of things, a lot of ways that you've been learning, and some things that God has been showing you. I'm curious, is there something specific that God has been teaching you right now, these days, specifically?
I think, like, to be really vulnerable and honest, this like time of my life is trust. I really have to trust that He's holding me fast. So we sing that song in chapel almost like every day. He will hold me fast, and it's become my absolute favorite song. And it's just it's a really beautiful song of how He remains who He is. And I think, like, He just wants to be my Abba Father. He just wants to be mine, and I want to be His, and that is the sole purpose of our relationship. So it's like, through the trials and errors and stress of school and friendships and the things that come with life, it's like He's teaching me. It doesn't matter how you fall or what you go through. It's like I'm holding you fast. So it's simple, but it's quite significant, actually. It's a new understanding of His character. Yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing that. And that's true. Yeah, you hear that song a lot, but I think it's maybe because a lot of people are working through that too these days. Sometimes that question, do I trust God? Is He holding me fast? And it's a reassurance that, yes, Jesus will hold us fast. So.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing that with us. And thank you, Kylen, for coming on the podcast. We really appreciate it.
So fun.
Do you have any final thoughts for our listeners?
If I had one thing to say to whoever's listening or watching, it would be to just, like, really trust that the Lord is leading you. Like, He is holding you by your right hand. There's a psalm, I think it's Psalm 37. I can't remember which verse, but it says, the Lord directs the steps of the godly. He delights in every detail of their lives. Though they stumble, they will never fall, for the Lord holds them by their hand. And yeah, just cling to that. Whether you come to Prairie or whether you do something else, you could come to Prairie. It's a pretty good school. But He's with you, and He wants to bless you and surprise you, because He's our friend and our Father and our brother. And His love for you is immense. So, yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Kylen, and thank you, listeners, for joining us today. Once again, if you want to learn more about Prairie, you want to hear more of these stories, you can check out the other podcast episodes. We have a bunch of lovely people on here who share a lot of similar ideas and thoughts about what God is doing in their lives. And if you're curious about learning about Prairie, you can head to our website, www.prairie.edu. If you know someone that you would like to be on the podcast, you can send an email to marketing@prairie.edu or alumni@prairie.edu. Make sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Thank you so much,
Yeah,
Kylen.
thank you for
This was a
having me.
pleasure.
Yeah.